Lieutenant Marcus Cole was attending a coalition diplomatic reception on Valith Prime, one of those formal events where military liaisons like him were required to show up, look professional, and not embarrass their governments. He'd been stationed with the Valith Diplomatic Corps for 6 months, mostly coordinating security protocols. The Valith were elegant, distinctive pointed ears expressing emotion through positioning, skin shifting through subtle colors reflecting inner states. Their culture valued formality, careful emotional control, and appropriate social distance, especially in professional contexts. Tonight's reception celebrated a trade agreement, attended by high-ranking officials expecting perfect protocol. Marcus was essentially scenery, representing human military presence. That's when he saw her, Ambassador Kurezeth, a Valith diplomat he'd worked with occasionally. She was wearing formal Valith attire he'd never seen on her before, flowing fabric in deep blues and silvers that complemented her skin tones perfectly, elegant and striking. Marcus had always found Kira competent but intimidating. Brilliant, maintaining perfect professional distance, treating him with polite formality, making clear they were colleagues, not friends. But seeing her in formal attire rather than functional diplomatic uniforms, he was struck by something he hadn't quite registered. She was beautiful. Not just aesthetically different, but genuinely striking. As Kira passed near him, Marcus did something impulsive. He leaned slightly closer, not violating personal space, but close enough that his words were clearly meant for her, and said quietly, "That dress suits you perfectly." Simple compliment, honestly meant, no particular agenda beyond expressing an observation. Kira stopped walking, her ears positioned in what might indicate surprise, her skin flickering through colors Marcus didn't recognize. She looked at him directly with an expression he couldn't interpret, not anger, not offense, but something else. "Lieutenant Cole," she said in carefully neutral tone despite her skin showing colors suggesting she wasn't feeling neutral. "Would you accompany me? There's a matter I need to discuss privately." Before Marcus could respond, Kira was walking toward a private conference room. Marcus followed, confused and slightly concerned that he'd committed some cultural offense. Once inside, Kira activated the privacy seal, standard for sensitive diplomatic conversations. The door locked with a soft click that sounded more significant than it should. Marcus opened his mouth to apologize, but Kira spoke first. "Do you know what you just did?" Her tone wasn't angry exactly, but there was intensity he hadn't heard from her before. "I gave you a compliment," Marcus said carefully, "which might have been culturally inappropriate. If so, I apologize. The dress genuinely suits you." Kira's skin shifted through more colors, surprise, but also something that might be amusement or frustration. "You gave me a personal compliment. In public, during a formal reception where everyone maintains careful professional distance." "Yes, in Valith culture," Kira said, choosing her words carefully. Giving someone a personal compliment, especially about their appearance, in formal professional contexts is significant. It indicates interest beyond professional courtesy. Marcus processed this. "Oh, so I accidentally signaled romantic interest, in front of half the diplomatic corps. I should apologize for that cultural misunderstanding." "Should you?" Kira asked, something in her tone making Marcus reconsider. "I locked this room specifically so we could address what you said without an audience. So I'll ask directly, was it a cultural misunderstanding? Or did you mean what your words signaled?" Marcus found himself in an unexpected position. He could claim cultural misunderstanding, the safe option, or he could be honest. "Both," Marcus admitted. "It was a misunderstanding in that I didn't know the full implications. But it wasn't a misunderstanding in that, yes, I think you're beautiful, and I've been attracted to you while maintaining professional distance because I thought that was appropriate." Kira's skin shifted rapidly. Surprise, pleasure, something that might be relief. "Do you know how frustrating it's been working with you for 6 months while maintaining perfect professional distance because cultural norms demand it, while simultaneously finding you attractive and wondering if that attraction is mutual?" "I could ask you the same question," Marcus said, starting to understand. "I've been maintaining professional distance because that seemed like what your culture expected." "Formal in public," Kira corrected, stepping closer in ways that definitely violated the professional distance she'd always maintained. We value appropriate emotional control in professional contexts. But in private, when professional requirements are set aside, we're not nearly as restrained as you might think. She was close enough now that Marcus could see subtle color shifts clearly, could notice her ears positioning in what might indicate interest or anticipation. "You locked us in here," Marcus observed. "Yes, because I accidentally signaled romantic interest, and you wanted to address that privately." "Partially," Kira said, her skin showing colors that might be playfulness or nervousness. "But also because I've been wanting an excuse to be alone with you for months, and your compliment gave me one." What followed wasn't dramatic or rushed. It was two people who'd maintained careful professional distance for 6 months, finally acknowledging that beneath protocols and formality, they'd been attracted to each other the entire time. Kiera explained that Valith formality in professional contexts exists because they experience emotions intensely and need structures to maintain boundaries. But those structures can make transitioning from professional to personal relationships difficult. "Your compliment tonight," Kiera said, now sitting beside Marcus rather than maintaining distance, "broke through 6 months of both of us maintaining perfect professional distance while being attracted to each other." In Valith culture, giving personal compliments in formal contexts is significant precisely because it signals willingness to acknowledge personal connection, usually remaining suppressed. So locking us in here wasn't about addressing a cultural misunderstanding. It was about creating private space where you didn't have to maintain professional distance. "Exactly," Kira confirmed, her skin showing contentment mixed with relief. "We've been colleagues for 6 months. Professional, appropriate, careful. But I've wanted to be more than colleagues almost since we started working together." They stayed in that conference room for over an hour, talking about 6 months of careful professional distance that was actually mutual attraction both thought had to be suppressed, about cultural differences in how personal relationships develop, about what it means to transition from colleagues to something more personal. When they finally emerged and returned to the reception, their relationship had fundamentally shifted, not publicly dramatic, but privately transformed. They were still professional in public contexts, still maintained appropriate boundaries when working, but the careful distance was gone, replaced with easy comfort from both finally acknowledging suppressed feelings. 3 months later, when colleagues asked how their relationship developed, Marcus gave his honest answer. "I gave Kira a compliment about her dress, not knowing that in Valith culture, personal compliments in professional contexts signal significant interest. She locked us in a conference room to address what I'd accidentally signaled. And we discovered we'd both been attracted to each other for months, but maintaining professional distance, because we each thought that was what appropriate behavior required." Kira said, "Marcus gave me a compliment that signaled interest he didn't know he was signaling. I sealed us in a room to create private space where we didn't have to maintain the professional distance my culture requires in public contexts. And we discovered that 6 months of careful professional distance was actually 6 months of mutual attraction that protocols prevented us from acknowledging." Sometimes formality exists to maintain appropriate boundaries, and sometimes those boundaries need to be dissolved so genuine connection can develop. Because they'd learned that cultural protocols serve important purposes, but can also prevent connection when maintained too rigidly. That sometimes what feels like appropriate professional distance is actually mutual attraction both parties are suppressing. And that occasionally, a simple compliment about a dress can break through months of carefully maintained formality